upload, so hopefully the third time's the charm and it will upload. But we shall see. Anyway, good afternoon, television fans. Big Al here on this Thursday, April 2nd, 2026. And this is again the third upload of episode number 27 Television Station History, as in this episode we'll be looking at KPXN-TV, which began as a religious television station and then morphed into what is now Ion Television. Okay, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, and get notified every time I go live. And here we go with the history of KPXN-TV, information courtesy of Wikipedia. KPXN-TV Channel 30 is a television station licensed to San Bernardino, California, serving as the Ion television outlet for the Los Angeles area. It is owned and operated by the Ion Media subsidiary of the EW Scripps Company, alongside Inglewood licensed Bounce TV station KILM Channel 64. The two stations share offices on West Olive Avenue in Burbank, and through a channel sharing agreement, the two stations transmit using Channel 30 spectrum from an antenna on Mount Wilson. Now the specs of KPXN-TV, San Bernardino, Los Angeles. The station broadcasts on virtual Channel 30. Their digital signal on RF Channel 24 is shared with KILM. We'll talk about the sub-channels towards the end. Owner is Ion Media, which is a subsidiary of the EW Scripps Company. And the licensee is Ion Television License, LLC. Sister station is KILM. Alright, the station signed on the air on October 12, 1969 as KHOF-TV. Then the FCC shut down the station and it went dark for a couple years. Came back in 1985 as KHEL, and that station was also shut down. Then in 1994, it would return a third time as KZKI, and then KPXN would be the station's call letters in 1997, and then they would add the TV suffix to the call sign in 2009. The station was originally slated to have KITR as its call letters. Those were in place from 1965 till 1968, but were never used on the air. Adoraman, what's up, man? Abdoraman. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. How you doing? Alright, the station broadcast previously on UHF Analog Channel 30 from 1969 to 2009. Their digital signal was on RF Digital Channel 38 until 2018. So again, it began as a religious independent station from 1969 to 1983. Then they went dark for a couple years, came back as a religious independent from 1985 to 1992, went dark again, and then returned in 1994 as an independent station. Then they were affiliated with NTV from 1995 to 1998. Call sign meaning can be either Paxson, as in Paxson Communications, or that company's founder, Bud Paxson. And Paxson Communications is the predecessor to Ion Media. Alright, licensing authority is the FCC. Facility ID number is 58978. The station broadcasts with an effective radiated power of 1,000 watts. Their transmitter on Mount Wilson is 900 meters or 2,953 feet above average terrain. Mr. HR2 Gamer, what's up? I'm not sure what he's saying, but okay. Their website is iontelevision.com. Now to the history. Channel 30 first signed on the air as KHOF-TV on October 12, 1969. It originally operated as a Christian broadcast outreach of the Faith Center Church in Glendale, California, of which Reverend Raymond Schoch served as the pastor, with Paul Crouch, who would leave the station in 1972 in order to begin his own Trinity Broadcasting Network. By the way, the history of KPXN-TV, that is episode number 26. That is up right now if you want to check that one out. In fact, Paul Crouch was his assistant and general manager at Channel 30, which was the second full-time Christian television station in the United States, behind only WYAH in the Norfolk, Virginia Beach market, which began Christian programming in 1961. But beginning in 1967, that station began a gradual evolution into a conventional commercial independent television station, which they completed in 1973. KHOF ran a mix of Schoch's own sermons, various televangelists, and teaching programs, both local and syndicated. The church had already owned and operated radio station KHOF-FM, which today is KKLA-FM in Los Angeles on 99.5. KKLA broadcast on that frequency but under a different license from the former KHOF-FM. The station began to have competition when their former GM, Paul Crouch, left the station in 1972 and acquired newly purchased KLSA Channel 30 in 1974. And of course, that station would springboard the Trinity Broadcasting Network. A year later, in 1975, Schoch stepped down for health reasons and would pass away on September 26, 1977. Gene Scott took over the ministry in 1975, and his Christian views were evolving, as reflected in his sermons. As the decade went on, KOF gradually shifted away from syndicated Christian programs and local Christian programs, rather syndicated Christian shows and local Christian programs, to only in-house programming from Scott. The church would break up as well, and the original Faith Center Church would eventually be shut down and merged with other churches, while Scott had his own congregation. By 1980, the station, along with the radio stations and the other TV properties owned by Faith Center Church, was running only Scott's discussions and sermons full-time. By 1981, the Faith Center was renamed the University Network. In the 1980s, KHOF came under the scrutiny of the Federal Communications Commission because of its fundraising operations, as well as Scott's refusal to allow the FCC to examine his station's financial records. The FCC eventually revoked Channel 30's license, and after losing court challenges to the FCC action, KHOF-TV officially shut down on May 24, 1983. The final broadcast from Scott's Channel 30 consisted of a number of cymbal-banging monkey toys, termed as the FCC Monkey Band, playing their mini cymbals as a final attack against the FCC. In order to keep Channel 30 from going dark until a new permanent licensee could be selected from the many applications that the FCC anticipated, they decided to allow an interim broadcaster to operate on the channel. In 1984, Angelus Broadcasting was granted an interim license, and in January 1985 returned Channel 30 to the air as KAGL. The station continued to broadcast religious programming from Gene Scott as well. Because KAGL utilized the old KHOF transmitter, still owned by Faith Center Church, KAGL provided Scott 4 hours of evening time and some daytime hours to continue the Festival of Faith programs he televised on Channel 30. In 1992, the FCC would shut down KAGL in order to allow a new licensee, Santino Communications, to construct a new transmitter for a planned television station under the call letters KZKI. Sandino Communications was an investment group whose name is shorthand for the station's city of license in San Bernardino. The current Channel 30 would sign on the air on January 7, 1994 as KZKI, airing a mix of religious programs, infomercials, and some movies in the 4 years between that time and the launch of PAX-TV on August 31st, 1998. Of course, PAX-TV would later become Independent Television, which is today's ION Television. Sandino sold KZKI to PAXN Communications, which is the forerunner to the current ION Media Networks, in 1995 for $18 million cash and the assumption of debt. KPXN's analog signal on UHF Channel 30 was the last television station to transmit from Sunset Ridge in the Mount San Antonio range. At one time, 3 other LA stations, KSCI Channel 18, KDOC TV Channel 50, and KRCA Channel 62, all 3 of now transmit from Mount Wilson, also had their signals from Sunset Ridge as well. Until the expansion of ION Television's schedule past 1 a.m. in early 2011, KPXN aired 1 hour of Bible teaching programs nightly at that time from the Los Angeles University Cathedral, which is taught by Scott's widow, Melissa Scott. The program was part of ION Television's national schedule via a time brokerage agreement. Newscast. In the late 1990s, as part of PAX-TV's partnership to provide PAX stations with network or newscasts from local NBC affiliates, KPXN began airing rebroadcasts of the weekday edition of KNBC Channel 4's 6 and 11 p.m. news. Okay, the 6 p.m. news from Channel 4 was branded by Channel 30 as the Channel 4 News at 6 on PAX 30 and aired weeknights at 7 p.m. on a 1-hour tape delay. And then the late news at 11:30 p.m., which is broadcast on a half-hour delay, was named the Channel 4 News at 11:30 on PAX 30. KPXN would stop airing the newscast in 2005 after PAX dissolved its pact with NBC. Now to technical information. Both KPXN-TV and KILM-TV broadcast their digital signals over RF Digital Channel 24. We'll first take a look at the subchannels for KPXN. ION Television is broadcast on channel 30.1 at 720p high definition and a 16:9 aspect ratio. Its sister station KILM-TV channel 64 broadcasts Bounce TV programming in 720p high definition and a 16:9 aspect ratio. The remaining subchannels for KPXN are aired in 480i high definition and a 16:9 aspect ratio. Core TV on 30.2, ION Plus is on 30.3. The Comedy Multicast Network Laugh is on 30.4. Game Show Central is on 30.5. Then you have Busted, the new crime multicast network, on 30.6, and HSN on 30.2. There is no programming presently on 30.7 as that subchannel is currently out of operation. Finally, analog to digital conversion. KPXN-TV shut down its analog signal over UHF Channel 30 on June 12, 2009 as part of the federally mandated transition from analog to digital television. The station's digital signal remained on its pre-transition UHF Channel 38 using virtual Channel 30. Okay, there is the history of current Ion television station KPXN-TV Channel 30 in San Bernardino, California. We only have 2 stations left for the Los Angeles market, and we'll get to those in the next 2 installments of television station history. In episode 29, we'll look at Unimas owned and operated station KFTR-DT, and then we'll close out the LA market with a look at the area's Telemundo owned and operated station KVEA, which is also the network's West Coast flagship. That's coming up in episode 30. So make sure you join me for both of those. For now, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, ring the bell, and get notified every time I go live. Special shout out to Abdurrahman. Again, I hope I'm not butchering his name. Honatan channel. Thanks for joining. And Mdor 2005. Thanks for the support, my brother. It's all good. I mean, if you haven't been on the streams, that's all good. I wouldn't worry about that. But for now, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Ring the bell and get notified every time I go live. This is Big Al signing off, and I will catch you next time for episode number 29 of Television Station History. And I hope this re-ups this time. We'll see what happens. Peace out. Yeah, I will be back in just a few minutes.